I didn't have a lot of challenges because I was smart enough to follow Barry Sonnenfeld direction. And Tommy Lee Jones spent his whole life running from a violent childhood. His father beat him. His marriages failed. He drank heavily and pushed people away. Now at almost 80, everything is falling apart. At a recent movie premiere, he couldn't remember working with his co-star. Friends say he looked sick and confused. He stopped making movies and stays hidden on his ranch. After decades of playing the strong, silent type, the mask is slipping. The truth about his sad final years is finally coming out. Tommy Lee Jones was born on September 15th, 1946 in a tiny Texas town called San Saba. Only about 3,000 people live there. His family life was full of chaos from the start. His father, Clyde, worked in the oil fields and had once been a cowboy. His mother, Lucille, worked as a police officer, a school teacher, and a beautician all at the same time. Their marriage didn't last. They got married and divorced not once, but twice. People in town gossiped about them all the time. Tommy watched his parents argue, leave each other, then come back again and again. Each time they split up, the family moved. They never stayed in one place long. Clyde's oil field jobs made things even more unstable. These early years left Tommy guarded and serious. Even as a kid, he kept his emotions locked up. But things at home were much worse than what people saw from the outside. His father had a violent temper. When Tommy was still small, Clyde would come home drunk and tired after 12-hour shifts in the heat. If Tommy made even a small mistake like tracking mud into their trailer, Clyde would explode. He would beat him hard. The beatings got worse in the early 1950s when oil prices dropped and Clyde couldn't find work for 6 months. In their trailer park in Midland, neighbors heard screams and furniture crashing late at night. Later, Tommy would say his childhood included a good deal of physical abuse. I had to learn how to read my father's moods just to survive, he recalled. The blank still look that would make him famous in Hollywood came from those early days, when showing fear could make things worse. At 3:47 a.m. one Tuesday morning in 1954, everything changed. Clyde was working a drill site when a gas pocket suddenly blew. The fireball rose 200 feet in the air. 2 men died. Equipment melted within 50 yards. Clyde had third-degree burns over 30% of his body. He spent 3 months in the hospital. Tommy was only 8 years old, but started working small jobs to help his family get by. 5 men went to the hospital that day. 2 of them died within 2 days. Tommy saw his father scream in his sleep. That moment taught him that an explosion could destroy a family's whole world in a second. He never forgot it. As is often the case with parents in a rocky marriage, and with a father who changed jobs constantly, Tommy never stayed in one school very long. By the time he turned 12, he had already been to 7 schools across Texas. In each new town, Midland, Sabinal, Roten, he had to start over. His grades dropped from A's to C's. At Robert E. Lee High School in Midland, kids with rich families looked down on him. He didn't have much, but he was big, 6 feet 1 inch, 200 pounds, and used that size to fight back. He joined the football team and played like he had something to prove. His hits were hard, too hard. Sometimes he got suspended. But on the field, no one could mess with him. When he was 13, his father got a well-paying job in Libya. Tommy remained in Texas. He'd won a scholarship to St. Mark's School in Dallas, one of the best schools in the state. By age 16, he was back on the oil rigs during summers, working next to his father. His shifts were 14 hours. The heat often hit 110 degrees. The work was dangerous. He'd handle heavy drills, clean up chemicals, and stand right next to machines that could kill a man instantly. In 1962, he saw a sea worker lose 3 fingers right in front of him. Blood sprayed across the drill floor. Help didn't arrive for 45 minutes. That summer, Tommy made $3.50 an hour. He lost 25 pounds and had calluses that never went away. One day, a 500-pound drill bit broke loose and smashed the platform right next to him. It nearly killed him. Those years taught him pain, discipline, and grit. He never forgot the smell of diesel or the feeling of almost dying. In 1965, Tommy Lee Jones got into Harvard with a scholarship. His first room was in Mayer Hall, B12. Across the hall lived Al Gore, who would later become vice president. They became roommates and stayed together all 4 years. Later, they also lived with Bob Summerby, who would go on to run a media watchdog site. Tommy and Al Gore stayed up late arguing about books and politics. That bond lasted for decades. Tommy gave a speech for Gore at the 2000 Democratic National Convention. When Gore won the Nobel Peace Prize, Tommy helped host the concert. He graduated in 1969 with a degree in English literature. Harvard, he said, taught him how to learn. And learning, he said, was the heart of acting. At Harvard, he also played football. He wore jersey number 61. He was 6 feet 1 inch, 200 pounds, and played offensive guard on the undefeated 1968 team. That season ended in a game that became legend. On November 23, 1968, Harvard played Yale. It was 29-13 with just 42 seconds left. Harvard scored twice and tied the game 29-29. The next day, the school newspaper ran the headline, "Harvard beats Yale 29-29. Tommy was on the field during that final miracle. It was so famous that it became a documentary in 2008. In 2010, Tommy spoke at a screening of it, standing again in Dunster House. Tommy was also active in Harvard's theater scene. His role in Coriolanus shocked people with how raw and intense it was. Professors and students talked about it for years. It was clear even then he had something rare. He acted alongside John Lithgow in The Ladies Not for Burning in 1967, starting a friendship that lasted decades. When he won the Harvard Arts Medal in 2012, he said college was the best thing that had happened to him creatively. After graduating, he moved to New York. His first professional play was A Patriot for Me, directed by Harold Pinner. That was in 1969. Over the next few years, he appeared in Fortune and Men's Eyes, Front of Garden, Blue Boys, and Ulysses in Nighttown. To pay the bills, he took a steady role in the soap opera One Life to Live, playing Dr. Martolin from 1971 to 1975. His first movie role came in 1970 with Love Story. He played a small part, but it got him noticed. The lead character in that film was based partly on Tommy and Al Gore, who had inspired author Eric Siegel during his time at Harvard. The film made over $130 million and got 7 Oscar nominations. In 1977, Jones starred in The Amazing Howard Hughes, a 2-part TV movie that aired a year after Hughes died. He played Hughes from young genius to broken recluse. Some said it was the most accurate version ever filmed. Jones nailed the voice, the mannerisms, everything. That same year, he was in Rolling Thunder, playing a quiet, wounded Vietnam vet. Critics said he was sensational. In 1978, he starred in Eyes of Laura Mars as a detective chasing a killer through a world of violent fashion photography. The movie made $20 million and became a cult classic. That same year, he starred in The Betsy, playing a race car driver designing a new car during the energy crisis. But Tommy's heart never left Texas. He built a polo ranch on 55 acres in San Saba with 48 horse stalls, an arena, and an exercise track. He gave horses and money to Harvard's polo team for more than 15 years. Students who trained at his ranch called it boot camp. He also bought 50-acre polo farm in Florida and sold it 2013 for $2,675 million. He didn't care about glamour. He played polo on rough dirt during droughts because that's how cowboys did it. That's who he was. When Tommy Lee Jones played Doolittle Lynn in Coal Miner's Daughter back in 1980, it became the start of something big. The movie told the real-life story of country star Loretta Lynn, and it earned over $67 million at the box office, even though it was made for just $15 million. Jones got his first Golden Globe nomination, but it was SpaceX who won the Oscar for Best Actress. The movie was shot completely in Kentucky and Tennessee, which made the story feel more real. There were intense bar scenes that made people wonder if things got rough off camera, too. But nobody ever confirmed anything. Nearly 40 years later, in 2019, the Library of Congress chose the film for the National Film Registry, saying it was important to American culture and history. Then in 1983, Tommy played one.